Today on Ag Etc., we have another new technology feature for you. Kyle Bauer is joined by Trevor McKeeman, the CEO and founder of the new app HitchPin. Most people have heard of Uber and Airbnb. Trevor took many of those convenience concepts, but is using them to connect farmers and their services. So imagine being able to help out a neighbor in your slow time or find those deals on hay in the area. All of this and much more is possible with connecting farmers through HitchPin. So enjoy this extended series on technology on today's show.
You know, I am so pleased and proud to introduce Trevor today because this company is so new. Now, I'm going to probably compare this to some things that are technically incorrect, but for the average person, a lot of us know how Uber works. We have the Uber app on our phone. Airbnb, we have that on our phone. And more or less, it's connecting somebody that has a surplus asset to somebody who needs and wants that asset and arrives at a price. And the general skeleton of that has worked. Obviously, the world likes that, and it has made value in the market. And Trevor and his company, HitchPin, have been working on this for how many years, Trevor?
The concept's been around for a while. Actual technical development, we've been moving really fast on. So we're a true sort of high-tech software company, and the amount that we've built just even in the last several months has been pretty incredible.
You know, and again, we know how the concept of Uber works,
Yep.
but this was tougher.
Oh, it absolutely is. You know, you think about a rideshare service, you got a couple different types of cars. You think about the diversity of agriculture. You know, cutting wheat is very different than somebody that's baling hay, or you know, you get into the specialty crops, it gets even more diverse. So I think that's been a great part for our team, is to dive into this and just see how complex agriculture is, and also with that complexity comes some real opportunity to improve it. So I kind of like to, you know, for my non-ag buddies out on the coast, that, you know, I kind of tease them. I say, if you were going to book an airline ticket and you couldn't use the internet to do it, how would you do it? And you know, the answer is, would you call every airline, get every schedule, and then call back the one with the best price and the best flight? And that seems kind of ridiculous, sort of, in modern travel. And in many cases, that's where we're at with agriculture right now. It's I need a service done. I may know that there's 3 guys or 4 guys around that can do that, but I don't know their availability. I don't know, you know, their pricing. There's a lot of those variables that are just very manual at this time.
Well, and how many times have I heard that somebody said, man, I could have really used a combine for a few days, and the other guy says, boy, I wish I'd have known that. Or, on the other hand, how about the guy that is in southern Oklahoma that gets hailed out, has a combine payment, and would love to have a place for that combine to go during wheat harvest?
Absolutely. You know, we grew our farming operation in the 1980s, which was a pretty terrible time to be farming. And I like to tease that at one point we had 5 combines, and they were all in various states of disrepair. And you'd start with 5, and that you would hope that one was working by the end. You know, that's not going to be the case in the future. I mean, our farm, for instance, hasn't owned combines for years, and the big challenge has been, okay, if you're going to hire these services done, how do you get them on a reliable schedule? How do you know that you're first on the list and not, you know, 5th on the list? And I think that's where HitchPin comes in and can really help with that. I think you mentioned a couple really important points. Is a lot of these producers bought pretty expensive equipment years ago, and now they're trying to figure out how to monetize it when prices are really low. So if they can pick up a job that's close in their neighborhood, and it may be that neighbor that they don't even know needs that service right now, you can increase the revenue on one side, and then on the other side, hopefully save some costs for these folks that aren't going to go out and purchase new equipment.
And I'm sorry, I just have to keep going back to Uber, because I I know and understand it, and I
Sure.
know a lot of the listeners don't. But when I go to Uber, it quotes me a price.
Yeah.
And I decide if yeah, and when I decide who I'm going to pick, I also look at their rating.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not necessarily the cheap guy.
Absolutely.
I look at is there parallels?
Oh, and that's something that we've spent a lot of time thinking about. You know, you don't want to create a race to the bottom on pricing in this particular case. You want to have these producers that do a really good job. You know, they're reliable. They've got the appropriate equipment. They're not, you know, they're not broken down all the time. There's all these variables, and if that can be built into a reputation score, it's a pretty powerful thing, because it'll, as somebody selects which service provider to use, you know, they may be more price sensitive, or they may be more interested in the timeliness. There's all kinds of factors that are individual to the person that needs the service. So, and the rating on our app is very similar to Airbnb and other sharing economy platforms. It goes both ways. So you're rating the person providing the service, and then the same rating goes the other direction.
I think that's wonderful. I think every craftsman that goes to a home, whether he's a plumber, electrician, or whatever, should rate the person when they leave. Because there's certain people go, oh, I can't get a plumber to come anymore. Well, it's the same way with this. If you aren't a reasonable client to these folks, the world's going to know it.
I actually am pretty excited about it. I mean, you know, folks in ag country tend to be pretty cooperative and work with each other. But like you said, I mean, some people are easier to work for than others. And so to have sort of everyone on their best behavior, because they know that it's going to impact their ability to either get a service or provide a service in the future, I actually think we're going to see performance levels that are much higher on both sides than through manual traditional form.
You mentioned being on their best behavior, and that's kind of the way I am in an Uber. It's like, because I know that guy's going to rate me, and I got no control.
I know.
Over what he's going to rate me, and this is really the same, right?
It's a feedback loop. It's a really powerful feedback loop, and again, I think long term, what we're doing on the site is somebody will build their reputation, and you will see. In the beginning, it is very much you know, one user rating another user, but in the future, we'll have a lot of data that can really identify those producers that are very solid at what they do. And I think long term, if I were kind of projecting what's going to happen in agriculture, I think things are going to get much more specialized. I think you'll see producers, instead of trying to own the entire spectrum of equipment, they're going to say, I'm really good at this. You know, I'm really good at hay operations, or I'm really good at harvest. And because of that, you know, they're going to focus on that. They're going to be good at it. They're going to take jobs in other places. And then on the flip side, they may not own that other equipment that they don't particularly enjoy doing, or don't want to do, or the capital costs are too high.
Do you envision this being so timely that it's like, okay, I'm in the northern part of the county, it rained last night, and it's like, man, if I had some ground in the southern part of the county, I could be running. And that guy goes and he looks and he goes, hey, there's 3 guys in the northern part of the county that would come plant today because they got rain. Do you envision it
you're
being
absolutely
that way?
right. And the sophistication on real-time availability is absolutely something that we're working with right now. So if you think about you know, sort of other sharing economy, it's not as affected by weather. And in this particular case, let's say I had jobs scheduled here, it got rained out. If I can find jobs that I can go take over here, it keeps that machinery running. And particularly for the guys doing custom work, I mean, anytime that machine is sitting there, it's costing them in labor, it's costing them in time, and all these items. So I think the level of sophistication that we can bring to real-time availability is pretty amazing, actually.
You know, one thing with Uber, though, is I don't worry about paying that cab driver with my credit card. I mean, because Uber has it. I mean, that's one reason I like it on Uber is and I hope I'm not breaking trademark laws by keep using their name. But I get out and it's all paid for. It's done. I mean, I don't even have to wait for a receipt, because that receipt gets emailed. Does this work the same way?
Yeah, and I would say we are different in some pretty major ways. One major difference is the producers that are out there today are really sophisticated. I mean, These are folks that are money managers. They're managing big equipment and a lot of costs, and so they are independent in their pricing decisions and all that. And, we provide a lot of tools to help with that, but at the end of the day, these are their operations, and we're just connecting the folks that really need services and those that can provide them. And the one principal thing that I think you were mentioning that is tremendously valuable is we escrow the payments between the two. So if I'm a guy that needs custom wheat harvest, and you're the one that's providing it, as soon as the app connects them and both agree that this is what we're going to do, we escrow the payment, and it sits there until the service is done. And what it does is it protects the seller and the buyer, or the seller of the service and the buyer of the service. If there's non-performance, the payment goes back to where it really needs to go. And that's a huge thing. I mean, you think about these folks providing custom services, they may do the service and not get paid for months.
Right.
And eventually we'll have it to where the machine rolls off the field, and at that point the payment goes through. And there's no invoicing, no chasing down anybody, no grabbing a check, none of that stuff. The payment hits the bank account directly.
Well, certainly, I mean, I mentioned earlier this is very new technology, but you and I talked about the concept several years ago, and I noticed in your original rollout, hay is a large part of the model.
Yep.
Now, how did that come about, or why did that come about, and how does that work?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the services side, but products is another big part of what we're doing. And at least around I grew up farming near Abilene, and hay this year was in short supply. Rain came late, so we got all kinds of rain later, but not at the beginning. And so demand for hay is really high. And we've talked to hundreds of farmers about what we're doing at this point. And you'll be in a farm show, and you'll see one farmer come by and he'll say, "When can I list my hay? I can't get rid of it." And 5 minutes later, you'll see another producer come by that says, "My cattle are starving. I got to find some hay." And so hay is the two services that we're starting with, or service and products that we're starting with at the beginning are buying and selling hay, and then fall harvest is the other one that we're doing. And on the hay transaction, it's pretty amazing. We have actually some app screenshots here, but if you think about the normal process of buying hay, you're calling around, you get voicemail, you only know about a couple guys that are selling it. Maybe you pull a piece of paper off of the post at the co-op. I mean, it's a very manual process, and we have an app screenshot here, but literally in less than 60 seconds, you can find hay in your immediate area and purchase it through the app, and have the payment be escrowed and all of that, sort of all that performance in a fraction of the time it would take to do one phone call.
Now, you talk about escrow of payment. Do I mail a check, or how do I make my payment?
So on the payer's side, so if I'm buying the hay, I can buy it in two ways. I can buy it with an ACH transaction, or I can buy it with a credit card. And so, obviously for larger transactions, the ACH probably makes more sense to do that. And it literally means it pulls right out of the bank account, it sits there, and then it gets pushed via ACH out. So everything is digital. Nobody's having to go to the bank or do anything like that.
Okay, all a business has to have a margin to survive. Who pays you?
Yeah, so HitchPin is a free app to download. You can download and list for free. The only time we make money is when somebody else is making money. So on that hay transaction, for instance, if the person posts hay and somebody buys it, then when we transfer the funds between the two, we take a portion of that success fee, and then that's sort of how we generate revenue. And our goal is to have that fee be really small. I mean, if you look at the overall size of the ag industry, if you're performing a great service for these producers, it's an enormous market, and also just a real service. If for instance you're going to get paid almost you're going to get paid 95 cents on your dollar right now, or maybe 6 months from now getting paid. There's real advantage to being paid now.
Absolutely. So I go to my app store and look for HitchPin.
So right now, this is our first sort of public announcement of what we're doing. We've been really quiet up until this point. And what we're going to do is, if you go to HitchPin.com, you can sign up and register, and we're going to allow sort of a limited group of users in at the very beginning. And really, our goal is to build something that's truly helpful for the farmer. And so with this initial group, they'll have access to the most advanced features of the app, and then that'll all happen before a broader public distribution. So if you go to HitchPin.com and click register and put your information in, we're going to take just a small subset of that, and then roll out the official app here shortly after that. So it's not available on the App Store yet. We'll actually send you a specific link, sort of an early access link.
It brings up a question, though. Is it likely to be most applicable to my phone or to my laptop or to my desktop?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're building it so it's a cross-platform. So it'll have an iOS app, Apple. It'll be on Android and a web platform. The two that we're starting with first are iOS, your iPhone, and the web. And actually, I think we're going to see most of the transactions happen on the phone. So we've got a good native app, which we showed some of the screenshots for. And I think if you can sit in your truck and the machine is broken down next to you, and you realize the weather's coming in, and literally in a few minutes you can order that service and do it from your phone. I think it's an amazingly powerful thing. I mean, when I was growing up, everybody had pliers on their belt, right? And now you see a smartphone and pliers sometimes, but certainly a smartphone. And literally, this will be the most powerful tool that you have in the truck with you.
Trevor McKeenan, HitchPin.com.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.